if you knew you were enough? What would your life look like? What would love look like? This is the Enough Factor broadcast, where we're redefining what makes you enough in life and in love. Now here's your host, Suzette. Hello everybody, it's Suzette Vernon, and I am your cycle-breaking relationship solutionist who helps high-performing women redefine what makes them enough on their own terms so that they can break the cycle of failed relationships and attract great love into their lives. I do it by amplifying what I have identified as 3 critical factors: your voice, your value, and your vision. For I found that when people feel like their voice is being heard, their value is being honored, and their vision is being regarded, they have a deeper, more profound experience of themselves and a more fulfilling and satisfying experience of relationships. Today, I want to talk about what underwrites everything I do as a coach. I call it my MusicMath Approach to dating and relating. It's centered around those 3 critical factors of enoughness. It's centered around your voice, your value, and your vision, because these are the components of your enoughness. I call it your enough factor. Simply put, it's what makes you enough. And I found that though society, though our community, though the people around us have tried to give us their definition of who we should be, I endeavor to help you to dive deeply inside of yourself until you align with your authentic truth. For that is where your true definition of what makes you enough resides. Our traditional romantic lens was founded on the belief that men were superior. Men were the leaders. And that a woman's role was to serve a man. A biblical reference, helpmeet. And depending on who's in the pulpit, that definition of being a helpmeet has the connotation of your first priority being to help your husband meet whatever his dreams, his goals, his ambitions are, even to the abandonment of your own. The actual assumption is that you don't have any dreams. You don't have any goals. And that it is considered offensive if you do. Because your whole reason for being, his whole point of choosing you, his whole point of making you have a place of prominence in his life is your ability to meet his need. And though women have evolved and this society has evolved in many ways. When it comes to love and romance, I don't see too much of a deviation from it. When I listen to relationship experts, and this is no disrespect because there are a lot of male relationship experts that I listen to and I have a great deal of regard for. But I find as a woman that there still seems to be this belief built around what a man wants, what a man thinks, and a woman trying to become that so that she can have true love. Most of my coaching clients and the ones that are most attracted to my message of enoughness, it deals with the fact that you were born enough, you are enough, and you always will be enough. And while it is normal to want to have true love and true companionship, abandoning yourself for it is a heavy price to pay. I'd even go so far as saying it is suicide. It is emotional, mental suicide. If you've got to dumb yourself down or be less than you are so that you can have love in your life, that automatically sends the message that you aren't enough. And I am 100% certain that the reason why you are on this planet is because something greater than you required your presence here. You were critical to this moment. You have an essential part to play. You were necessary. Doesn't matter how you came to be. Doesn't matter whether your mother loved your father. Doesn't matter whether you're the product of incest or rape. It doesn't matter whether society deems you as being critical or worthy, or whether society acts like you don't even exist. Something greater than you decided that you were essential. For me as a Christian, I believe in God being that something greater. But whatever your belief is, whether you believe in the human spirit, whether you believe in love, whether you believe, whatever you believe in, what unites even those that are atheists is the belief that there is a bigness and energy that surrounds us that seems to have its own consciousness, even if the higher consciousness is within our own frame. And so I realized that the old ways of coaching, the old ways of looking at relationships, the old ways of going about love were putting an undue burden on the evolution and the awakening of women to who they truly are. That their worthiness is not because somebody says they are. The very reason they exist dictates that they have worth and they have value. And I should say we have worth and we have value. And especially for the women over the age of 40. We've experienced some things. We've gone to college. We've started businesses or gotten jobs. There's been a certain amount of independence that's come with it, where we no longer need to wait on a man for economic reasons, that we don't have to try to put your money with my money so that we can survive. We don't have to wait before buying a home or buying a car or taking a trip. We don't have to wait on a man to do those things. But in the absence of that, then what are we to do? How do men and women bridge the gap between economic need and partnership? As I said, the old paradigm does not work because there are women who are deciding not to get married because they don't want a sexy invitation to slavery. They don't want a scriptural reference that says to them, if you love God, you have to submit to your husband. Some women love God, but this whole submission thing has not gone well for them. And they would prefer not even getting married than for them to be told over a pulpit that they need to act like they are now deaf, dumb, and blind and completely divest themselves of their own sense of agency and enoughness to now serve the needs of their husband. And to be frank with you, it's not even fair. It's not even fair. There is an authentic part of them that struggles with how God could go through so much to redeem them and to help them and to be there for them in ways that nobody else could. Help them to evolve and become their own person with their own mind and thoughts and desires. Only that when they pray for him to send them a husband, they've got to act like none of that matters. That depiction on Coming to America, where Prince Akeem asks the person that Vanessa Bell Calloway was portraying, asking her, well, what do you like? And she says, whatever you like. Right? And while we laugh when we look at it, it is something deeply inbred in our socialization and conditioning as women, that when we get into a relationship, a romantic relationship with a man, we automatically start erasing ourselves, thinking that by doing so, we're sending the message that we are wife material, that we are someone that you can take home to mom and to be considered seriously for a committed relationship. Do you see how deeply interwoven into our psyches and into our emotions this belief of men being supreme is? And so my approach digs down into the soil of it. It gets down in the trenches for them to dig for their own truth, for them to be able to see through more authentic eyes. Instead of seeking to submit to their old relationship paradigm that has not worked for them, my approach focuses more on harmony. Two people cooperating with one another, mutual respect and regard, equality, versus this whole thing of trying to become one. Because even though oneness means we're in agreement, we're a unified front, we're in agreement about the direction of this relationship and what its priorities are, you still have the individuality of being your own person. And my approach actually believes that it is essential for you to bring your individuality into your relationship space. Because how can there be harmony if one is required to abandon their individuality and try to assimilate with someone else's? In the music world, we call that singing in unison. It's two people singing the same note. There is no harmony if two people are singing the same note. There's only harmony when I can hold my note and you can hold yours. And it's melodic. It's beautiful. It gives substance and brilliance and depth to the relationship. Another common conditioning, especially in Western culture, that my approach challenges is this whole thing about romance. Romance being the pursuit. And usually that is chemically driven. We call it chemistry, because it's dealing with the chemicals in our brains that flood the pleasure centers. And we love to feel the pleasure. It's very euphoric. That's that whole falling in love feeling. That high that you have when you feel like you've met someone who gets you. You've met someone that you enjoy being with and being around. But this is just the beginning phase. The real relating does not start until you get into the discovery phase. And you cannot discover the other person while you are high on love. Some people call it the power struggle phase. Some people call it the discovery phase. But it's that phase when you start seeing each other. The fog is starting to clear. And you're starting to see each other through more sober eyes. And you start asking yourself if this person is who you thought they were. If you all are as compatible as you thought you were. And you start needing to know, what's the point of us being together? What's the reason? Why us? Right? Where is this relationship going? What purpose does it serve? So with my approach, rather than focusing on chemistry and romance, I focus on intentionality and purpose. Instead of falling in love, I believe in equipping women with the tools and the insights that they need so they can make more clear-headed and self-honoring decisions in their relationships, and to treat their hearts more responsibly. So my MusicMath approach is very, very different than what's out there. And it's needed. With the statistics being what they are about divorces and second and third marriages, with people who get married today and divorced within the year. With people experiencing divorces younger, it's disheartening for me that some of my consultations with bright, beautiful women full of possibility are in their late 20s and early 30s and have already had a divorce, have already had a traumatic experience. And our go-to as women who are high performers, mission-driven, goal-setting women is to find something to busy ourselves. We think if we can involve ourselves in a new project, in a new focus, that will help us to recover from the heartbreak and the trauma of a failed marriage or a failed relationship attempt. It writes on your self-esteem. It causes you to doubt yourself and to play the game of love with sweaty palms the next time. It breeds distrust. And that's not healthy. But yet we women take ourselves from relationship to relationship. And every failed attempt knocks us down another notch. And it's harder to climb up out of it every time we get knocked down. And so having lived quite a few years now, I'm 62, and having not really connected the dots about love for myself until I reached the age of 50, I feel like it is my responsibility, as well as my passion, my honor, and my privilege to share the insights that I have gained with the women who are like me, who want love, who want companionship, who want someone to share their lives with, who want somebody's warm or cold feet beside them, who want that, but they don't know what they don't know. And because they don't know it, they keep going from one failed attempt to another failed attempt. And so my approach brings together all the things that I learned that allowed me to reclaim my self-trust, my self-respect, and my dignity as a woman, a fully functioning woman with dreams and goals, a woman who refused to dumb herself down another day, a woman who refused to pretend to be something in hopes that she could get the object of her desire to see her and want her. A woman that came to the end of it and said, if it is to be, I have got to be me. Armed with that determination and information, vital information, to set me up for success, I ended up finding love at 50, getting married at 55, and I am staring down the barrel of 8 years of marriage to a man that if he were to get down on one knee right now and ask me to marry him again, I wholeheartedly would. He's beyond anything I could have imagined for myself. And I didn't know that when I was doing the work not on myself as a singular entity, but on my relationship self. because who I was in relationships was different than who I was in regular life. And I needed to bridge the gap between why I felt like I needed to be somebody different in order for someone to love me. And when I did that work to reclaim my sense of enoughness and own my true self and bring her to the forefront, it was not long before I met my husband. And something else that I feel is important here. For those of you who want something long term, where you want marriage or a long-term commitment, you're not just looking for a Friday night date or a +1, but you really want a companion. You want companionship. You want partnership. I think it adds to what I'm able to offer you as a coach. The fact that I am in a relationship and that I'm learning to do those things, to draw from those places within me, to work together with my husband to keep it healthy, to keep it a place where we both can thrive as who we truly are. Here's the thing. Getting a man is easy. You got many, many people sharing with you the technical information for you to get a man. But keeping him is something completely different. And when I say keeping him, it means knowing that you are enough. Knowing that you are enough for him to want to be committed to you. Knowing that you are enough for him to want to love you for the rest of his days and value you as his mate, not just his date, but his mate. Because that's the only way you can keep anybody. They have to have determined within themselves that you are the one that their soul has been waiting for. And so my approach is different. It's different. And you see the thumbprint of my MusicMath Approach in my 2 signature programs, Doing Love Differently and Do You Speak Male. I think their names give you a great indication as to what the program is about. If the way you've been doing love hasn't been working for you, then you need to learn how to do love differently. You need to know what it is you don't know so that you can do love differently. You need to go down deeply and connect more deeply with your authentic truth so that you can love who you are and respect who you are in your relationships. You can bring dignity and self-respect and self-honor to your relationships, doing love differently. And then Do You Speak Male is all about understanding men, understanding them for who they are, how they're wired, how they're socialized, how they show you that they're interested, how they show you that they're not. Learning how to read that. Learning how. And that program centers around 5 C's, the 5 C's of understanding a man's language: communication, his code, his culture, his context, and his conduct. And if you learn to understand men, then it's easier for you to recognize who might be a great potential partner for you to spend time with versus who's just a smooth talker. And many times you can see the queen in you if you can differentiate between a king, a prince, and a fool. In short, queens are entertained by fools, but they never get in relationship with them. And so, do you speak male is very, very key in helping a woman to be able to recognize true potentials. That's kind of the quickie version of it, but I wanted to talk about the MusicMath approach. It underwrites everything. It underwrites everything that I write, every coaching solution, everything that I say. It all flows out of my signature MusicMath approach. It was needed. High achieving, smart, worthy women needed someone who was going to honor them in being all that they could be. Not try to tell them how to take on a role and assume a posture so they can attract a man. If you attract a man being different than who you are, then he's not your man, and he's not in love with you. He's in love with what you showed him. And that does not make for a great relationship. It's actually very deceitful to pretend to be something that you're not, and then to get upset and accuse a man of pretending to be something that he's not. Well, like attracts like. What you put out, you get back. And that's why it's so important for me to help guide you in connecting with your authentic truth. And from that baseline, from that foundation, you're able to make decisions about your love life and how you treat your heart. That's the only way. That's the only way that you can truly find fulfillment and satisfaction in a relationship. You have to be free to be who you are. That's why the MusicMath approach to dating and relating was birthed. It was birthed out of my own awakening and my own awareness that had to happen in order for me to find true love. So that's it. I'll be happy to get your comments, how this resonates with you. For some of you, this is going to be such great news because you've been to other relationship coaches and seminars and so forth that always made you feel like something was wrong with you, so you had to dumb yourself down. You had to nip and tuck certain areas of yourself. You're too loud. You're too quiet. You're too tall. You're too short. You're too successful. You're not successful enough. You're too smart. You're overqualified. You're not qualified enough. You're too ambitious. All these people keep telling you what you're not. And my approach celebrates who you are. And for you to do the full exploration of that person and set her free to love on her own terms, knowing that she's enough, not just to attract a fool or a prince, but to attract a king because she has discovered that she's a queen. And until next time, I don't want you to doubt or ever forget that you are worthy, you are worth it, you are more than enough. Bye now. You have just listened to the Enough Factor podcast with your host, Suzette Bernard. To get notified of new episodes or to dig deeper into today's topic, become a subscriber. And while you're at it, tell us how we're doing and what topics you're interested in. We appreciate your feedback and your reviews. Until next time, remember, you are worthy, you are worth it, you are enough.